I was at a loss until you found me. You gave me a home within your love. I was running blind until you showed me that life could be this good. I want all my friends to know about you. No matter what it takes, I'll never stop. Everything I am is for your glory. My life's forever yours. I found one love, can't control it. Hit me like a wildfire, send me emotion. Nothing else compares, losing all my cares. Now that I have found one love, wild, wild love. Nothing else compares, losing all my cares. Now that I have found one love, wild, wild love. Now I'm running far within your freedom. I don't even care what they would say. Living in your presence is the reason I'll never be the same. I want all my friends to know about you. No matter what it takes, I'll never stop. Everything I am is for your glory. My life's forever yours. I found one love, can't control it. Hit me like a wildfire, send me emotion. Nothing else compares, losing all my cares. Now that I have found one love, wild, wild love. Nothing else compares, losing all my cares. Now that I have found one love, wild, wild love. No, nothing compares. I found one love, can't control it. Hit me like a wildfire, send me emotion. Nothing else compares, losing all my cares. Now that I have found one love, wild, wild love. One love, can't control it. Hit me like a wildfire, send me emotion. Nothing else compares, losing all my cares. Now that I have found one love, wild, wild love.
Get up. I know you're angry. Yes.
Hey.
I cannot get it. Caswell is a really good experience, and I feel like people should come because I feel like a lot of people underestimate what's actually going on there, and I feel like they should come because it really helped change my perspective on where I am in my relationship with God.
Yeah, it will change them in a way that going to church every Sunday and going to youth group every week won't. It will change them. It will grow them closer to the Lord.
Caswell really helps move forward with your relationship, and it really helps you focus on what's going on, and nobody should be too scared to go because it's life-changing, quite literally. It's just fun every year.
They get like a year's worth of community in that week.
I will make sure you will not have a bad time. I got your back.
I don't think there's ever been a single person there that has had a bad time.
No, definitely not.
Overall, you're going to have a fun time. You're going to meet new people.
Yeah, the place is very welcoming. And everybody's friendly. And
yeah.
Caswell isn't just that week. Caswell impacts the kids throughout the entire year because, they teach them skills on their level in ways that carries them through their school year. And then they also give them resources to go in and do their daily devotionals. And developing that daily quiet time with the Lord early is an incredible habit that can take them further with their relationship with the Lord as they grow older. So.
Quiet time is a time where you take away from all the noise and everyone else and you just go and be by yourself. But it's just a time where you can be alone with God. And Be to Tell has a book that is really good with helping you guide yourself through quiet time. You don't have to do the quiet time in there if you just want to take that quiet time to like just pray to God and thank him for everything, or just pray to him what's on your mind or what's on your heart. But Be to Tell does help if you don't know what to do during quiet time.
So basically, quiet time is what we started our day off with, and it's just a time of like peaceful intimacy with just you and God. And you answer a few questions in your book and end it with like praying. And
like Lainey said, it just helps you focus on God and what he has to offer. It helps open your heart to accept the message and everything that you're going to learn that day.
Yeah, it really it helps set like your viewpoint for the rest of the day and like the rest of the week.
It's just like a time to get away and just have like a time with you and God immediately, like after breakfast.
What I wrote down is, the question was, why is it important for Jesus followers to be the salt and light in this world? And I said, being the salt and light can draw attention to Jesus by wearing his heart on our sleeves.
Small groups is like after your morning worship, we would go back to the house and they would split high schoolers, middle schoolers, and we each had a leader. So the middle schoolers had Tyson and then the high schoolers had Gary. And there's a lesson in the workbook. They would just give a little lesson with like just their age group that they were with.
Small group to me was like, it was a time where you were able to listen to someone who was older, more mature, and farther along in their faith than you are, and kind of follow their guidance. Gary had really good lessons, even though they weren't 100% to the book. He gives us enough to believe, but not so much to provoke us to believe.
I like when Gary said that if you're following Jesus, you have to be okay with not everybody liking you. You can't just listen to what somebody says to look at. You have to look at what they do and don't do, and like whether they're actually practicing what they're like preaching.
When Gary would share his personal experiences with everyone, and it like you could connect it through things in your own life and being able to stay on the right track. And he also talked about like faking it, because he did grow up with like a super Christian dad, and finding ways to like realize either if you're faking it or if you're actually following Jesus and living the good life.
I have a lot of friends, and I feel like some of them like show that they'll act another way, but then like in reality they're like very double-sided, still be a different way with another group of friends.
Be to Tell just does a really good job with their music, like a really good job. Like everything is just it's so impactful. Like you can feel their like emotion on the stage, like you can feel it yourself.
It might be a little biased, but I really like the drama team.
Yeah.
Yes, they're really fun. I like the way like they tell the story and how it's like it leaves a suspense after every single worship for like what's gonna happen the next day, or like the next like worship service. What are they like? What's gonna happen in the story?
I feel like a lot more people, especially teenagers, like connect through music a lot more than I think people realize, because music is just so universal. It's really easy to connect through music. And I feel like seeing like the words and like actually realizing what you're singing and like being able to like take that factor and like put it in your head and like realize what you're like doing while you're singing, because you're worshiping while you're singing. You're worshiping God. And I feel like that's a really big aspect.
like I remember the song Fall Like Rain definitely had an impact because I don't know, the lyrics were just so deep yet so simple.
I do love that every time I go there, I learn new songs.
I mean, I feel like for group worship, I feel like it's the opposite of what I thought I'd like. I liked him talking more than I liked listening to the music and stuff. Because I feel like I'm like a big learner and I want to like intake like the words, but I feel like songs don't do that for me as much.
I feel like the way like they would like express the songs with themselves really like it helped to get the point across of like what the song was like intending and what it meant.
I also love that it's not adults leading it, it's college students.
That's fair.
Another way that the kids can it's another way for the kids to connect to them. They understand, they're on that same level.
The two speakers this week were David Sons and Daniel Rose.
Did you feel one kind of clicked with you better?
I do think I preferred Daniel Rose.
He used a lot of illustration.
Yes. And I like that.
I really enjoyed him. I was amazed that he gave the whole lesson and never looked at a piece of paper. He had that lesson and never. Yes. And the especially the one where he showed the water and then he shook it up. That whole lesson with the things that he used was really eye-opening. So I feel like, yes, as a chaperone, you're there to learn as well.
I think I liked both of them pretty equally because they just brought two different perspectives of the series we're learning.
The good life.
Is there anything that you wrote down from worship that like you really spoke to you just want to share?
I remember it was Thursday evening worship, and one of the things that stuck with me was these two things: is we work from faith, not for it, and you can't earn salvation; you can only receive it.
I liked it, the one lesson he did on Tuesday, the evening one, where he like did the sandwich example with the dirty sandwich. So if you make a sandwich, but if beforehand you like go to the dump and don't wear gloves and take the trash out, and then don't wash your hands and go to make that sandwich, the sandwich is still dirty and you wouldn't eat it. So like I liked how he said that like sin isn't just an external problem. And it's like sin is like that dirty sandwich, and it will always try to like contaminate all the good you do because your sin is trying to stop you from getting that like connection. And you can't just wash it away because it's on the inside and the outside because it's external and internal. And the only person that has the qualifications to get rid of all that sin is God.
And yet I will show you the most excellent way. If I speak in the tongues of men or of angels, but do not have love, I am only a resounding gong or a clanging cymbal. If I have the gift of prophecy and can fathom all mysteries and all knowledge, and I have faith that can move mountains, but I do not have love, I am nothing. If I give all I possess to the poor and give over my body to hardship that I may boast, but do not have love, I gain nothing. 1 Corinthians 13, 1-3. Basically, if your heart's not in the right place, then what you're giving out isn't going to be in the right place either.
Daniel Rose is my favorite because he, in one of the morning ones, he talked about anxiety. And I really liked that lesson because I think a lot of people struggle with anxiety. And I like how he explained how anxiety finds its root. And I felt like I could relate to a lot of it. He said like that it finds its root in lack of control and that you have to look to God's promise when you don't feel in control and that he provides for you. And I liked that because I hate not being in control of stuff. I'm very anxious about stuff that I can't control, about people I can't control.
Mm-hmm.
I do agree with the lack of control. And then also anxiety is a problem that gives birth to other problems. And I also liked that when talking about anxiety and using the Bible to help with anxiety, he didn't explain it as the only solution to anxiety because there is clinical anxiety that the Bible can always help, but you should get other help from other people, and he encouraged people.
Would you say that Fort Worship is an emotional experience?
Yeah, Fort Worship is totally.
If you don't cry, you're a liar because you will cry.
Yes, I would. But I was locked in, didn't cry. Well, yeah, you did. I didn't cry much. You were hugging Tyson like...
Me personally, I did not cry at Fort Worship, but I don't think I ever cried at Fort.
I don't know, even Tyson was like, I'm such a man, I'm not gonna cry. I think he cried the most, actually. He was...
Thomas said he started to get teary-eyed when Titus started crying. He's like, that really hit me.
That reminds me of the year Bryce was like, I'm not gonna cry. All these girls crying is so sad. And then he like laughed at Issa for crying, and then Issa walked away, and he walks over to me, and his tears streaming down his face, like, oh, Bryce. And he's like, I wasn't gonna cry. Don't tell him I told you that, because that's a secret. Fort worship is one day of the week where we go, and we all, like, everybody meets outside this one really, really big fort, and Beater stands on the top of the fort with all their instruments and stuff, and we are down below them, and we bring like chairs and like little mats to sit on, and we basically do the worship outside, but like with the sunset like in the background, and like that whole setting of just the fort.
In my own words, I would say, like in past years, we would stay outside the whole time, and we bring out like our towels and like roll them out on the grass and the sand spurs. And we would do like worship singing, and then worship where we'd have like a lesson. But this year we went into Hatch, which is the auditorium where everything happens. And when we finished with worship and like music worship, and then our other worship for like our lesson, we were told to silently go outside, and there was all these people holding like signs with like either like encouraging messages or verses on them, and nobody was really talking because it was like we had to leave silently. We walked to the fort where fort worship was going to happen, and as these people were just holding the signs, you'd go through and read them, and like on our little path. And then we got there, and they had us put like our youth pastor Tyson T Swizz in the middle, and we would like put our hand on him and pray for him, and then we like got in a little circle, and the people who wanted to like give their lives to Christ would go to the middle with Tyson, and then rededications went to the middle with Tyson.
I would say like the whole experience is very like unique because we never really take the time to worship outside in God's creation. Being outside at an old historic fort is just 10 times better. It just makes it even more like, it almost seems unreal.
Fort worship is a time where we get to worship outside. We get to be kind of like in God's creation, like out in the world. And it's also a time I feel to really connect with your youth group and your peers in your youth group. Towards the end, after the message, we all gather around our youth pastor and we pray over him, and we there's usually a call to fellowship, or there's a call to fellowship, but there's also a call to, if you feel God is moving in you and you want to make a step forward, then there's a time to do that too. And it's also just a time I feel like to be really emotional with your peers and to be like really vulnerable with everyone, not feeling like you have to be so defensive with people. And it's a really good time. I really enjoy it. I love praying over Tyson. I think it's really fun. He's so silly. But I also, this year, I pulled aside some of my upperclassmen friends, Rachel, Audrey, and Thomas. I kind of just told them to all join hands with me, and I prayed over them too, because I feel like sometimes you need someone to pray over you. Like I said, I feel like we can all just kind of like connect as a youth group. And I also feel like you can kind of like connect with your friends, because I know like we see each other usually at least once or twice a week, depending if they come to Wednesday or if they come to only to Sunday worship, or even sometimes if they only come to events. I feel like just being able to connect with everyone else, but also being able to praise God at the same time is a really, really good experience. It's a really nice experience.
Even spending just like that whole week with them in general, like if you didn't know somebody before the trip, you're gonna know them by the end.
So basically during Fort Worship, a bunch of people surrendered their life to Christ, and after it was done, we prayed for them and everything, and then a lot of us left and went back to the house. And then it was like 30 minutes later, and we get a text from Tyson saying that we need some more like love reinforcements to help pray over them and stuff.
After we left Fort Worship, Tyson wanted to stay back and talk to people who had stepped forward. And about 10 minutes after that, me, Thomas, Audrey, and Rachel. Us four had gotten back to the house, and Audrey was like, oh, Tyson sent a message and says he wants some people who are free to come back and help support the other people that are still there, people that stepped forward. And we were like, okay, well, let's go. We're not doing anything. So we went back and we kind of just sat with them, prayed with them, cried with them.
We walked back and there's just some people freaking crying, bro. And they're all weepy. And so we like go and we hug on them, and then we like pray with them a little more, and then we take a really cute picture, insert picture.
We just see them sitting around crying over each other. So we all just kind of like circle up around them with our hands around them and just pray with them, cry with them. And it was just a very like emotional experience for everybody. We just saw different sides of people we've never seen before. And I don't know, I just thought it was really great.
It hits different every year. No matter how many years you go, it's a different experience like every single time.
Do you feel like there's a sharp contrast between Fort Worship and the devotion over the stars?
Yeah, because during Fort Worship, we're pretty much thinking about our relationship with each other as a church, as one, like we're united and everything. And then during Devotion Under the Stars, we think about ourselves and God's relationship. And so I think it's two very emotional things, but very different things too.
Like the energy is definitely very, very different. And like it's less unifying, it's more personalized to you and yourself.
I feel like it's more personal with Devotion to the Stars. I think you're by yourself, but with Fort Worship, it's like everyone in the camp is there, and like there's the people are up on the fort either like playing music or speaking, and you're surrounded by everyone else. Where Devotion to the Stars is your own personal time.
We usually do it the night of Fort Worship, so we all meet on the back porch, and then we go behind our house, and we're completely silent. The only person talking is Tyson.
Devotion Under the Stars is we do it the same night as Fort Worship. We all get back from Fort Worship, and everybody meets on the porch with a towel, a flashlight, and their Bible optionally. And we all, Tyson will gather and make sure everybody's there, and our parents will write us little notes. Sometimes there's this big area, and we all go out into the area with our mats and everything, and you can sit down by yourself, and the whole point is to be under the stars and to like look up at the stars while you're there, to kind of just admire them. And it's time to yourself where you can really like reflect on the week and reflect on your relationship with God and what you need to do to make it stronger, or like to take that first step.
So we lay down on a towel at night, just lay down, and some of us get letters from our parents and read them. And it's just a time to just stare at the sky and just be alone with God. And so for me, like, I always start off by reading my letters from my parents and just really taking that in. And then I lay down and just look at, I usually pick out one singular star and look at it. So then I'm focused on that one thing, and then I just pray. And I remember this year I saw like a couple shooting stars while I was praying, and that was just pretty cool.
I think being alone in community is important. You know, you have all this fun, but it's good to have, under the stars there, and it's a beautiful place, and just, okay, it's right now it's me and God, because our Christian walk is individual and communal, and I think that under the stars gives a good opportunity for the individual.
It's kind of just like seeing how much God has created, and like seeing how like big and vast everything is, and He created that.
I really liked how like right before we went out, you like told a little story about all of the stars. Now we had to count them all. I feel like that story just helped like really lead into the whole thing. And then when you just lay back and look up at the stars, it was like, wow, this really is all his creation.
It like puts life more into perspective, like thinking about how God created each and every star, each and every person, and being able to connect with God, and having your parents write to you about their connection with God and how you can improve yours and how you're doing good.
It's a great experience, I think.
I think it's good that you slow the kids down.
Yes.
Separate them.
Yeah.
Have your, own time with God. And just because the week is so busy, so finally slow down and just have that private time, not talking to your friends. I think it's great.
It helped me realize that God's way above our understanding, and like he created the whole galaxy and the stars and everything around us, but he also loves and cares about me. I think that's just sometimes hard to understand and comprehend, but it's just a great thing.
I feel like I can pray a lot longer than I actually do, because I feel like once I had that time to actually sit aside and actually have a lot of time to actually just sit there and pray, I could pray about a lot more things than I normally would, because my mind was just trying to think of, well, what do I pray about? But then also with the Holy Spirit kind of just like guiding me to like say, well, I didn't have to think about it anymore. It just kind of happened.
Caswell puts a lot of gold in the ground that you can mine on with the kids for that coming year.
I've gone to other watermarks. I've gone to MFuge, right? So I've gone on other trips with the youth, and there is something magical about Caswell that the kids grew closer, way more closer at Caswell than, and we were, at MFuge, we were in Tennessee in the college. We were on the bus for 12, 14 hours. So we had the time to develop the relationships, but we just didn't. I don't know what it was. There's just something very magical about Caswell that allows us to develop that relationship with the kids.
I feel like the environment is just like entirely more like easy to connect in than other camps. And you do a lot more a day that would help you connect. It's an experience. It's something
life-changing.
you have to be there to experience, and no other camp can like compare to just like the energy and what comes out of Caswell.
You phrased it well just a minute ago, that they get like a year's worth of community in that week. And I think that's what keeps kids connected throughout, as the heat and the fever of Caswell kind of dissipates over the year. The fact that they come together and they've got those memories in common really matter. So I think that's a real benefit.
Yeah, I think it was the worship part of it was really nice to see 1,000 other people like praising his name. And like I remember it was one of the nights we were singing and everything, and I just look around and I just got chills on everybody. Just, you can hear everybody's voice just echo throughout the whole worship set.
I think it is a much more exciting experience when you have everyone connected in the same room, and it is a bigger building, and you get to see and interact with other churches. And it also is, again, more like, I feel like it's easier to switch on and off from like being super hype and being like, and then going into like more personal and like being connected to God.
I loved the connection that the kids make and seeing them grow closer together. They're going to be irritated with each other, but at the same time, because it's like we are a family. We are a family. And you get irritated with your brothers and your sisters at times. But I think the other thing is seeing them pray for you. I do too. And want to cry up right now because them having that relationship with a young man, an incredible role model in Christ, but also an incredible role model as a husband, it's just so vital for them to see in this world. And the relationship that they have with you as their youth pastor is incredible. It takes a village to raise children. And for me to know as a mom of only one child that I can rely on my family in Christ to help me raise my daughter in him and in his love, it's everything. Come with us. You're not to be changed, because you will. And it is well worth it. It is beyond worth it. You will be changed yourself, and then you will see your child change, and that will change you as well. It's incredible to see God working in his big ways that week.
Caswell 2025. See you there.